are starting a new year, January 2026, and I have tons of information, not just from our MLS, but also new build, new construction information. So let's break down and see what's going on with the builders, because more people are buying new construction than resale, which is why the numbers, what you're seeing on the media, don't necessarily match up. This explains it all. I love that we have new construction builder information for you, unlike we have had before. This is where we've seen a lot of discrepancies when we've been talking about a healthy real estate market, and MLS did not necessarily reflect that same information. So for those people out there that have been saying that the market's going to crash literally every single year, here we are years into this, and we're still super strong. Now, new construction alone in 2024, we saw over 21,000 closings, and 2025 did not disappoint. Another 21,250 closings. This is just new construction. Now, in 2026, they're estimating that there will be more than 23,000 closings for new home construction. Now, the median price for new home construction has gone from $475,000 up to $499,000, which is up 5%. Now, there's a reason for that. When we break down where most of the sales have been, you'll see how these numbers are impacting us. But the majority of the new, like the biggest bucket of new permits, have been homes by custom builders, most of which are over $3 million. So when you have such a heavy player in the bigger luxury market, this is going to be areas like Carefree, Cave Creek, Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, and Paradise Valley. And these are homes over 10,000 square feet. And like I said, over $3 million. So when you see over 2,400 new homes in this luxury market, it definitely impacts the market. Lennar is the second largest bucket of permits. They came in at 2,275 new permits last year. And typically, again, it takes about a year. Once they get the permit, it's within 12 months that they will be building that home. Builders also used to permit entire streets, whereas right now they're only doing a couple of homes at a time. They're not overcommitting. Nobody wants to get, holding that hot potato like they did a long time ago. And so they are very much more strategic when they're planning out their new communities. The third largest builder putting in permits is going to be Taylor Morrison with 1,671. Here in the greater Phoenix area, we actually have more than 27 different builders in addition to all those custom builders. All right, so that was the permits for 2025, and so that's what we can expect for 2026. But let's look back at last year, see who the top builders were. Number one was Lennar, was at the top. 2,352. Number two came in at D.R. Horton at 2,407. And Taylor Morrison is number three at 2,212. Just to give you an idea who's moving, who's the shaker and the mover. But those miscellaneous custom homes, like I said earlier, they're not just sitting there. Over 1,048 of those custom homes were sold just in 2025. We have so much going on in the greater Phoenix area. In fact, we have 996 active new home communities. Mind-blowing. We also saw for 2025 more than $6 billion, in fact, $6.6 billion of land acquisition. That is what's going to be coming in the future, my friends. We have 451 future subdivisions, at least at this point, on the docks. And we also have, let's talk about build to rent. Let's take a little segue on over to rentals and how it relates to the greater Phoenix area. Nationally, you're going to hear that there is a shortage of rentals, and there's even some talk about Trump, putting some rules in place to minimize institutional buyers and things like that. That is for those, well, let's just call them Wall Street or hedge funds that were buying single family homes. These are builders that are building commercial properties. That's a different conversation, and that is not even covered in what they are talking about, which let me just say, previous White House administrations have tried to implement policies for institutional buyers in residential real estate, have been unsuccessful. If this administration is successful, it will only impact the future. It's not going to change anything that we have. And to be honest with you, nationally, there's less than 1.5% of single family homes owned by institutional buyers. It's not as big of a problem as many people may think. And when you look at the greater Phoenix area, it's less than 1%. These are going to be huge rental companies like Progress Residential and other large companies like that. Needless to say, we have seen build to rent communities and massive apartment complexes going up throughout the greater Phoenix area. I am talking a plethora of thousands of units that are currently they're vacant. So we are actually seeing rents go down in the greater Phoenix area. For anyone looking to rent, you're going to find the biggest savings on apartment complexes because what they're doing is they're still advertising those higher monthly rates, but they're throwing in an extra 2 or even 3 months for free with a 12-month lease. So again, there's some rental opportunities if you're a renter and willing to do apartments. If you're looking to buy single family homes, let me tell you, the market for single family home rentals, brand new with these build to rent communities, are tough. And if you do currently own a single family home, you might notice if your tenant leaves that you might have to actually lower that rent. All right, that's enough about new construction and even the rentals. And let's talk about what's going on in our MLS. If you are thinking about buying in an area that's in higher demand for its proximity, schools, jobs, freeways, medical care, entertainment, activities, dining, that is going to be in an area that is most likely being sold on MLS. So this is data that is important and applicable to you. Number one, we are currently at a balanced market. A balanced market is anywhere in between 90 and 110 degrees. 10 degrees? Okay. I'm thinking summertime, Arizona. The point is we're at an index today of, well, just the other day it was 88.8, and today it is 89.3. So it's just inching as we are getting really to kick off our buyer season. I anticipate it will be well in the 90s by the first week of February. Spring training starts right after that. We have Barrett-Jackson. We have Waste Management Open. There's so many people coming to the greater Phoenix area for other things, and they get the bug and they start looking at real estate, and many buy. Okay, so those of you who are still watching, this next part is what you came for. Just because Phoenix is in a balanced market, it doesn't mean that it's the same. I've been trying to say that month after month. Every single city, even neighborhoods within city, are vastly different. We're not going to break it down by neighborhood, goodness gracious, but we are going to break it down by city for you so you can have a better understanding of what the market is like today. Remember, we take supply and demand, and it comes up with an index number. Anything under 90 is a buyer's market. Fantastic time to get deals. Anything over 110, it's a seller's market. If you find a home you like, you better act quickly. Most likely have competition next to you. If you're in between 90 or 110, it's anything goes. Let's see what each city is at the time of this video, and it will continue to heat up as we continue through the buyer season here in the Phoenix market. So this is why it is very important for you to give us a call when you guys are ready to start talking about buying. And I would recommend a minimum of 6 months ahead of time. We had so many phone calls in the last quarter of 2025, and people were saying, I want to come out in the January, February timeframe. And I know that's the best time to vacation out here. But for a buyer, the positive is you'll have the best inventory. The negative is you will pay the most, have the least concessions, and maybe not get the repairs you are looking for. It's all about competition. So remember that in Q1, it's the most challenging time, but it can be the most rewarding time for buyers. All right, let's jump straight into supply. Overall is up 6%. And I want to break down where that supply is, because again, when Redfin or Zillow or some of our favorite YouTubers are reporting 6% higher than it was last year, oh my gosh, let's figure out where that 6% is coming from. You will see the biggest jump is going to be in our condominium market. Under $300,000 is unbelievable. It has increased exponentially every single winter. And by January, it hits the market. Same thing happened last year. Here's the thing, guys. Condominiums are considered high risk. They're more high risk today than they ever has been before because the deciding factor is out of your control. It has everything to do with insurance and the HOA. If the insurance doesn't cover the condition of the property, the HOA has to put money in the property. That increases fees. If they don't make those improvements, and in some cases they don't have the proper insurance. If they don't have the proper insurance, then they become non-warrantable. Now, if you own the condo, that's great, but when you go to sell it, you're going to have a hard time selling it. That is what's happening, again, all over the country. And some HOAs have gone up significantly. Now, let me tell you, they're not as bad as like Los Angeles or Florida, etc. So, but for us, $250 to even $400 a month can be a huge difference. And some of these increases come in the form of capital improvements. And you're probably wondering what that means. This is why you need to give us a call. If you're looking for the condo market, here's my 2 cents. I think one more year, we'll see a more decline on those condos. If you're thinking about a condo, I would buy at the end of this year, 2026. And if the prices go low enough, then that HOA fee offsets. I feel like there is still some downward motion that we're going to see in the condo market. Now, the second amount of new listings on the market comes over 1 million. So again, most of the people that are looking to buy are between that 300,000 and 1 million. So when, again, nationally they report that there's this increase, it doesn't affect most of the buyers out there. And again, that's why the averages are kind of in the middle, and it gives you the wrong impression of what's going on in the greater Phoenix area. So in short, guys, no crash for Phoenix. Although we have seen some improvement in some areas, and the interest rates combined with that make a difference. The volume of business is it's the lowest that we've seen in a very long 30 years, actually, right? But the last 3 years have been consistently this. Also, new contracts, super strong at the beginning of the year. Actually, December, we started to see it already. Again, if you've been watching my videos, I was talking about how that balanced market, it was coming back and it would probably be here. And here we are in January. But I thought the Q4 was going to end early for those really smoking buyer deals. And they did in November. By December, when buyers were out here, sellers knew if they just held on for a few more weeks to January, they'll see the activity, and many did. So it was really, really hard to write crushing deals in December. November was definitely, in my opinion, the best time. And remember that though for this year, because I think we're going to see a repeat of that, right? So we have seasonal adjustments here in the greater Phoenix area. They're different. Here's the thing. We start our buyer season in January. We wrap it up by March, April. And that's when everybody else starts picking up. So we can already tell you what's probably going to happen in all the other cities, and they don't start reporting it until the summertime when we've already moved into a different season altogether. Phoenix is ahead of the rest of the country as far as what will happen, and nobody knows in 2026. My prediction for rates in 2026 is more of the same. It's really nice to see consistency though, because I'll tell you that inconsistency is what created a lot of doubt. We are going to be right at 5.85 to 6.25, in my opinion, for the course of the year. You're actually seeing some of the national analysts, the biggies, the economists saying the same exact thing. So if you're thinking of buying, you got to give us a call, because it is about being strategic and how you can lower your monthly payment. And also timing in our market is crucial. Here's the thing, with the moderate decrease in most of the markets, not all, but most of the markets have made some of the homes a little bit more affordable. And again, every bit counts. But what's made the homes most affordable is the full 1% lower than we were 1 year ago today. So let's take an example. If a home a year ago was $500,000, that home might be around 480 right now. Maybe, right? And 1% difference than where we were a year ago today would put that payment equivalent savings as if it was 10% of that. That would be $48,000. So buying today is essentially like buying a home $68,000 lower than it was last year. Does that make sense? I hope so. If you're a numbers nerd like me, give me a call. We'll talk through some of these great conversations, because here's the thing. My videos aren't to convince you when to buy. It's when you're ready to buy, how and where do you get the best deal. So let's wrap this up with appreciation. Well, for the most part, the median price has been flat. As I pointed out to you earlier, that really does not mean a thing. The breakdown is this. Slight decline in under 800. Biggest wins are going to be over 1.5 million. It varies on location and price point. So here's the moral of this end. Rockin' Decembers. That's, again, if you are thinking of the best deals, you can get them all year long. It's just going to look and feel a little bit different. The best deals to be had are going to be October and November later this year. Over half of the transactions, even in December, had concessions. That median concession is about $10,000. The days of the $20,000 and $30,000 concessions are probably not going to be around January through the April-May timeframe. If that's important to you, we need to be strategic on the timing on that, or we need to look at new construction. Let's touch a little bit on foreclosures, because that's always part of the conversation, because you'll hear everybody screaming that it is over 100% from last year. That's because, again, it's been so low over the last few years. When you look at this chart where it compares to what a real market crash looks like, you can be rest assured it's not going to happen. Now, do we see more short sales come on the market? Yes, we do. In fact, today at the time of this video, 166 short sales. We have seen a completion of about 100 in the last 6 months. That's not an overabundance of them. And I'll be honest with you, they are actually not. You would think it's all the new construction and people that can no longer make their payments and things like that. The vast majority of the short sales are from homeowners that have taken out seconds, lines of credit, HELOCs, against their home. They didn't put the money back in their home. They took too much. And for whatever reason, now they need to move. Well, you know what? Those banks are going to be asking for you to repay the money, even if there is a settled short sale. So I am short sale certified. If you're in that position, just give us a call. We'll have a conversation. But here's the thing, bottom line, guys, equity in your home should not be used like a checkbook. That's really what I think. Honest to goodness, unless you're taking out a small amount, like specifically for a pool, that makes sense. But if you're going to put in $100,000 pool, you don't need to take out $200,000 and maybe hit the, Tahiti or things like that. There's definitely different people on YouTube that are talking about leveraging and floating, and there's all kinds of things. Just be really careful what you guys do with home equity. That is what got people in trouble in 2008. It takes a special type of investor to leverage their home with the roof over their head. All right, guys, if you are thinking of buying or selling or relocating or just having a conversation, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, days, nights, or weekends. I got your back when moving, in or out or around.